How many of you are the CEO of a major international corporation? So I saw one hand up in the back, but it's a trick question because every single one of you should be raising your hand. Because each one of you, believe it or not, is the CEO of a major international corporation. I know that may not make sense right now, but bear with me for a moment. I want to tell you the story about how I acted my way into the Cannes Film Festival. I graduated from Franklin University, Switzerland, for undergrad in 1999, and that summer I lived in France with French families. I'd always wanted to become an actor and get involved with the movie business, and so that summer I decided I was going to crash the Cannes Film Festival. I did absolutely everything I could to get into that festival. I was denied at every single entrance. I just felt so discouraged that I couldn't get in there legitimately. I was so close, and yet so far. And I'm sitting on the John at a restaurant in Cannes, just defeated. But then it hit me. I came up with a diabolical plan. I was sitting on the in Cannes, thinking, how can I get into Cannes? I can, can't I? I think I can. But first, I had to get off of that can. It was simple. I was just going to pretend that I was supposed to be there. In other words, my grand plan was I was going to act my way in. And I scribbled on a piece of toilet paper who I was, a producer, and what I was doing there. I was promoting my latest film. And I practiced that over and over again, just like I did for this talk. And it worked. I met a real producer outside security, and I convinced him that I was a producer too. He took me to festival management. We convinced that guy that I needed a badge. And as soon as I got it, I sailed right through security. Before long, people were asking me who I was, what films were mine, what projects I was there for, what parties I was going to. It was as if I were a legit producer. It was wild. I went from being an absolute nobody to being a nobody who people thought was a somebody. And well, that made me somebody. Who was I? Well, to them, Monroe Mann, film producer. Who was I really? Monroe Mann, damn good actor. And shaping this type of success is what I did again 14 years later, when I ended up back at Cannes as a legitimately successful film producer and actor. And I did it again recently when I became vice president of development of a new Hollywood-based production company. But wait, we're getting ahead of ourselves. How did I go from being fake actor and producer at Cannes in 1998 to becoming a real actor and producer in 2012? The answer is simple. I run my entire life like a business. I am the CEO of Me Inc. And everything I do operates from this very simple principle. So after returning from Cannes, in my attempt to become the next big thing, I decided I wanted to learn everything I could about how show business worked. I stumbled upon this article in Fast Company by a guy named Tom Peters. It was called The Brand Called You. This very simple but impactful concept that even if you work at a company, you are your own brand. And that just stuck with me, and it led me to realizing that success is all about hard work. It's about making your own breaks and taking full responsibility for all the successes and failures in your life. That Fast Company article further taught me that simple but crucial distinction. I wasn't an actor. I was a brand, and that brand was me. Just like Tom Cruise is not really an actor. He is, far more importantly, a brand. I say that name, Tom Cruise. A million thoughts go through your mind. Top Gun, great smile. Mission Impossible, superstar. But it wasn't until I was walking through Grand Central Terminal and I saw the cover of Entrepreneur magazine that it all started to come together. I realized I was far more than even a brand. I was the head of my own company, and I was in control. And keeping this in mind, I got super busy in the years to come. I became a Bronze Star-nominated Iraq War veteran. I became a lawyer, earned my MBA in finance, my PhD in psychology. I wrote 11 books, started a few not-for-profits, and just recently I've become a successful YouTube live streamer. I've even jumped out of an airplane more than 50 times, once with a parachute malfunction, and lived to tell the tale. And through it all, I realized that I had become a success at turning really negative situations into rock star accomplishments. I learned that I'd become a master of continual self-improvement, of perseverance, and making things happen. And it dawned on me that day and every day thereafter that I was indeed the CEO of Me, Inc. Now, before we go any further, I need you guys to understand what it means to be CEO of Me, Inc. The first and primary job of CEO is visionary. You need to come up with a bold and positive vision for the future of the company. You need to be inspired and inspiring, full of zest and hope. And it's not easy, especially when life just keeps giving us lemons. But you got to find that hope anyway. Number two, it's about strategy. That's the part of CEO that's continually turning those everyday lemons into everyday success stories. It's the part of CEO that is finding solutions when it seems there is no solution whatsoever to be found. And number three, your job as CEO is managing the entire staff of Me, Inc. You may not realize it, but every single person in your life is part of your company team. Your friends, your family, everyone who adds value to your life. They're all part of the various departments in your company, from strategy and marketing to finance and legal. You may not have formal names for these departments, but they exist. And you're either running them really well, running them really poorly, or you're not running them at all. So, you need to ask yourself a bunch of questions. Are my department heads doing a good job? Are they operating in line with the corporate vision? Is the company both stable and successful? Is there a 10-year plan? Is there a SWOT analysis? And if you don't know what a SWOT analysis is, that's your first research project as CEO of Me, Inc. So bottom line, once you start to recognize that you are indeed the head of a major international corporation, suddenly you are no longer just blindly meandering through life. No, instead, you are leading your corporate team from startup to stardom. By way of example, I'm going to go back and finish the Cannes Film Festival story. So it was 1999, I just got back from Cannes, and as a very successful and accomplished fake producer, and this time I decided I'm going to take on the New York acting scene by storm, but this time legitimately. I remember that I was at a talent agency in New York City at an audition. And I just finished shooting this movie, Swim Fan, in a super tiny role. But it was something I was really proud of, and yeah, it was just cool. And back in the day, you had to carry 3x5 prints with you if you wanted to show that you hung out with cool people. And you bet that I had those photos in my pocket of me with the stars of Swim Fan. And of course, I wanted to share them with everybody, especially people in show business who I knew would appreciate them. So I'm in the audition room, and the three agents asked me what I've been up to lately. And I said, well, I just did this movie Swim Fan, and oh my gosh, I want to show you these 3 photos from set. Agent number 1, no. Wow, well, talk about ruining the vibe. Agent number 2, just start your monologue. If you've ever seen the movie La La Land, it was just like that, but worse. Absolutely no smiles. Just absolute contempt from the 3 of those people looking at me. Imagine Simon Cowell in his first year as a judge on AGT, as all 3 agents, just staring at me, expressionless and irritated. I had a feeling I was not going to be getting the golden buzzer. But I moved forward with my monologue. After about 20 seconds, stop. Thank you. Next. Oh, I was furious. Not just because they rejected the actor in me, but more so because they had just treated me with such complete and utter disregard. I didn't deserve any of that. And most people would probably just forget about it and get on with their day and move on, but you guys know me. That night, I went home and I penned this scathing letter to that agency. You guys are agents. Without actors and our talent, you guys have nothing. You work for us. What you did to me was rude and disrespectful. And then I sent it off and quickly forgot about it. It was the letter that every actor in the history of the world wanted to send to an agent after being wronged. And I sent it. Well, 3 days go by. I don't think anything of it. Suddenly I get a phone call from a major casting director friend of mine. Monroe, what did you do? Whoa. I had no idea what was going on, but he was so mad. That letter, it's everywhere. They faxed it to 20 agents and casting directors all across the city. You're being blacklisted. At first I laughed, because I didn't think blacklisting was still a thing. Apparently it was, and I was making the list. But then that was replaced by sheer terror as I saw my Hollywood dreams falling apart before my very eyes. But before I allowed myself to fall apart completely, I forced the brake diver inside of me to take control, and I said, look, if I'm blacklisted, I'll just write my own script, and I'll raise the money, and produce it myself, and I'll cast myself in the leading role, and I'll direct it, and I'll take it to Cannes for distribution. He laughed. Come on, Monroe. Be realistic. You will never do that. To this day, I remember his words. That laughter resonates in my brain. And that taunt changed my life forever. 10 years later, I did everything I was told I would not do. In 2012, the film You Can't Kill Stephen King was represented and sold by a Hollywood film agent at the Cannes Film Market in France. Guess who produced it? Guess who co-wrote it? Guess who co-directed it? Guess who co-starred? Guess which film still makes money every single year, even in 2024? The film I was told I would never be able to make. That film that resulted in me getting this new role as VP of development at this new production company in Hollywood. It all happened because I looked and continue to look at my entire life as a business. And because I cast myself in the leading role of CEO of Me, Inc. Earlier, I asked you to raise your hands if you were the CEO of a major international corporation, hoping now you understand where I was coming from. Because you are each the CEO of Me, Inc. Say it. I am the CEO of Me, Inc. Ah, feels good, right? I'm the CEO of Monroe Man, Inc. It sounds so cool. And it's going to sound even cooler when you say that with your own name. But for all of us, and I speak from experience, the CEO in each of us needs to step up the game. In other words, how good of a CEO are you? Ask yourself these questions. Are you happy? How are your finances, your productivity, your physical and mental health, your relationships? Do you have a 10-year plan? Again, I speak from experience. The answer for me to most of those questions is not as great as I would like. And if you guys are honest, you know you feel exactly the same way, for no one is immune from this analysis. So, you're fired. Ma'am, fired. Sir, fired. You need to quit right now. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want anybody to quit. And no one is getting fired, for now. Instead, on the contrary, I am asking you each to start taking major responsibility. I want you to start taking charge of every aspect of your company. In other words, your life and your brand from this moment forward. I want you to start addressing every single problem from the buck stops here vantage point of CEO, Chief Executive Officer. It's time for each of you to take your company, in other words, your life, and turn it into the world-class, efficient, multi-million-dollar corporate international success story that you know it can and should be. And remember, it's not just about thinking long-term. More importantly, it's about taking those long-term goals and breaking them down into smaller, achievable tasks that propel your life, your career, your brand, your company forward every day, step by step. And of course, turning those lemons into lemonade. So, it's time for each of you to put on that CEO hat. I want you to start boldly declaring your company name far and wide and start working tirelessly every single day to improve the productivity, efficiency, and profitability of every single department within your company. Why? Because that's what a great CEO would do. And you, ladies and gentlemen, are really good CEOs. How good? You just got the golden buzzer. Thanks.